Hello, and welcome back to some more Rune Factory 2. We need to get back to the pharmacy, don't we? Because I don't know why, but I want to boost up my entire pharmacy level all the way up to maximum. And in this episode, I actually have stuff to talk about, but I'm also hoping that Azura gets here, because she would probably also want to talk about it. Yeah, I had my in-person D&D game, and that went rather well. So I want to talk about it, but of course, like I said, why go and discuss it twice? But I also was already sitting around for hours, not doing anything. Yeah, first Tuesday of the month, I already did my shopping. Yeah, I walked out there and walked back, which some of you might be thinking, oh, don't be such a baby, it's just a little walk. And true, it is just a short walk. However, it was raining. It was raining when I woke up. It's still raining now at 8 p.m. It's been raining all day. I walked out through the rain, which, it's a light rain. And I think it might have stopped briefly while I was out walking. Maybe, I don't know. I was wearing a hoodie. So it wasn't exactly bad. It's not storming. It's just been drizzling all day long. Speaking of talking about nonsense, when's the last time I actually talked about Increlution? I, for some reason, got back to playing that again lately. A game that maybe could have made for something of recording back when I first started playing it. Could have maybe done an episode about it, but it's an idle game with quite a heavy emphasis on being idle. There isn't exactly a lot of want for it. So, yeah, I finished a generation of it, got into a new game, finished a generation, whatever. Finished a playthrough of it, got into New Game Plus for, I don't know, I think the 4th time or so. Spent my points on getting a few new perks, blah blah blah. And now starting all over again, yay! It took almost 300 generations to make it all the way there. Each generation takes, I want to say, roughly half an hour of active game time. That doesn't count all the times the game is paused, waiting for me to take actions. And frankly, if I was recording Rune Factory on the same computer that I was running Increlution on, I could totally do, like, Increlution, like, in the background or something. I just have my playthrough of Increlution going on. And just swap between that and the game I'm somewhat playing. Let's see, explore the cave. Woohoo! Skill levels, I think, what, 86 now? Yeah! Whoa, I need some healing. Yes, there is no actual reason for why I want to, for why I should get my medicine skill up to 99. That is correct. There is no actual reason for it. I'm doing so anyway. Am I going to talk about Inclusion all episode? No, I'm not. But, in case you notice me occasionally pausing to do stuff, it's because the early game of Inclusion has a lot of fiddly bits to fiddle around with, because you have, like, no automation done. So you have to do everything again all from the beginning, and except now it's a little bit faster because you have those new game plus perks. What do I even spend my perks on this time? I actually forget. I think it's I can eat food slightly faster now. Which sounds pointless, but it actually does come up sometimes. I think it was I can eat food faster, and I get more max HP per generation. Screw it, I'll talk about Increlution a bit. Increlution is a basic idle game. You can play the demo for free on Steam if you want to see more of it for yourself. And the general idea is you start off with the ability to do a few actions. You can catch berries, which, you know, gives you catch berries. Gather berries, which gives you a berry. And it takes like 2 seconds to complete the action. It's like, the berry, I think, to start gives you like, what, 1 health or something? It's like, okay, well, why do you need health? You start off with 100 HP, but with a decay rate of 1/2 of an HP every second. At least I think basic starter berries give you 1 HP. It might give like 2 or something. Regardless, they give you a little bit of health. And you start off, you know, losing 1/2 hit point per second, and that goes up at such a rate that the amount of decay will double every 3 minutes. So, you know, you need to eat the food in order to bypass the decay, but since you can only eat food every 5 seconds, you can eat a specific piece of food every 5 seconds. Eventually it gets to the point where that food can't give you enough restoration to overcome the decay. There are a few ways around this, of course. One, you can build houses, and heck, right off the beginning of the game, you can already build your first house. It halves the decay, but the decay will still keep going up, so basically it gives you an extra 3 minutes before your decay reaches the point it was before you made the house. So if you can gather all the resources, like the lumber, that you can start off by getting, if you can get enough resources for it, within 3 minutes, then it's worthwhile to build the house. 2, you can explore new areas and get more food that can heal you for more. Let's say a few ways. I think that's basically it. Different foods and also houses. So once you run out of health, that generation is over and you basically start again. However, as you do actions, they raise up certain skills, like gathering berries increases farming, cutting wood increases wood cutting, catching fish is fishing, cooking fish is cooking, digging stone is digging, building stuff is construction, exploration actions are agility, fighting actions are combat. There are more skills than just that. They, you know, get introduced as you play. And all that. As your skills get built up, they level up their generational level and their instinct level. The generational level levels up faster, but at the start of each new generation, your generation level resets down to 0. So you have to, you know, build that up with each generation. Your instinct levels raise a lot slower than your generation levels. I think about 10% the speed, something like that. However, your instinct levels remain permanently. So by the end of my run last time, I was running at about 1200 or so, like, instinct farming level. Right now, it's at 27. You get a few levels of instinct in a generation. Your next generation, those actions are just a little bit faster. It's a multiplier. It's like it starts at like a ×1, the generation levels, the instinct levels, and any tools that you have, multiply that base multiplier. So it's like, so right now gathering berries is every 1.26 seconds because of a times 1.59 in farming right now. Speaking of which, I need to eat some berries really quick here. Catch a fish, cook a fish, increase my health. I'm wanting to get the first 2 houses before I really do much else, and of course, the houses go away at the start of a new generation. Yes. Good instincts there. Da-da-da-da-da. Sorry, I just wasn't thinking there for a little bit, completely silent for a while. Anyway. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, hey, free food. Cool. That sounds tasty. I'm using cooking fish is faster than catching fish. Nah. The choices that people who made this game decide to make. Alright, if I cook that fish, that'd be helpful. What am I on? Generation like 3? So yeah, the longer that you last in the generation, the more health that you will get after the generation to start the next one. So like, you know, your first life you have 100 health. I think I'm on Gen 3, I have 108 health. Eventually there are optional challenges that you can do, usually fighting very difficult for the time monsters, that if you manage to beat them, it'll double the amount of health that you'll gain at the end of the generation. Very nice, rather useful. Okay. So, yeah. You have basically choices of what to do. There's almost always there's almost always an option or options to gain food, optional options to gain resources, an option or options to use resources to make things, and I'm pretty sure there is always an option to move forward with the game. Sometimes it's a monster that you aren't able to beat at your current stats, but there's usually always an opportunity to keep moving forward with the game. Even if you can't go through with that. The combat, right, the combat does not work like regular skills. You know, regular skills, blah, 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 blah. Takes some time, gives you experience. Based on your experience levels, it takes less time. And absolutely things get to be taking less than 1 second each. It's like, right now the berries are completes every 1.01 seconds. If I go and gather a few more of them, it now completes 1.04 times per second. Because my farming skill is over 2. So, you know, it's just faster that way. But during combat, your health decay gets increased based on, you know, whatever it is that you're fighting. So you have to take that into account. Make sure that you have enough food to deal with the combat. If the combat would kill you, and there is another option that you can do, then the game will drop the action of fighting whatever monster it is you're fighting. And if you try to click on it again, it's like, hey, this is lethal, you can do something else. And sometimes, however, you get into a state where you've already collected all the food and resources and built everything that you can for that screen. Literally, the only thing left is to fight, and you're a little bit out of luck there. Automation, right. Once you've done an action enough times, I think the base is either 300 or 500 times, I think? Because this is updated with New Game Plus. I think it's, once you've done an action like 500 times, or built a thing 10 times, like, you know, and this tracks over multiple generations, obviously. Maybe not obviously, fortunately. You then get the option of just setting that action to automatically complete by itself, and you can track the priorities of things. It's like right now I have cutting wood at a low priority. My levels of priority are off, low, medium, high, ultra high. None, low, regular, high, and top priority. How the game calls them. So if you have a resource gathering thing, a non-food resource gathering thing at low, it won't fill itself by itself, but it will fill itself if you click on making something that, a construction that uses that material, if you don't have enough of it. Yeah, sometimes in runs it's actually a good idea to have resources at regular. Once you've gone to the point that the little bit of time spent gathering the resources won't really make a dent in your health recovery, but the amount of XP, that little bit of XP that you get from gathering the resources, will help your generational and technically instinct levels. Say, the longer you live, the more health you get for next time. And say you start at 100 health, and the current endgame has multiple times where it can take 5 million health away from you at once. Yeah! Getting the extra health is pretty good, yeah. For anyone who likes idle games, and frankly, who likes idle games, right? It's worth checking out, I'd say. Even if you just want to get the demo to try that out, I'd say it's quite worthwhile. Definitely need a bit of strategy worked into it when fighting different, yeah, when exactly to fight different monsters, what to do with the automation once you've unlocked automation for a thing. Like, I'm at the point where I don't want collecting berries to be automated at the start of the generation, because instead I'd rather try to build the first two huts as fast as I can, first two houses, whatever, as fast as I can, before I waste time on other stuff so I can, quarter my decay, and then start dealing with, food and movement and everything else. I could go into more detail about the specifics of the game, but it's really those traits of the game that I really like about this as an idle game. And one unfortunate part is that the game won't advance generations by itself. Like, even if you somehow have a loop that will go from start to finish by itself without your input, because if you're not doing an action, the game is paused until you're doing an action, so you can't just leave it sitting there doing nothing. Which is a good thing. It's theoretically a good thing. It feels like it's supposed to be a good thing. Not really as much. Sometimes it would be really nice if you could actually just have your character sitting there doing nothing. Because in some occasions, your only options are to either do a job that you really want to complete, but that you can't quite complete, because you can't eat food fast enough to complete it, or leave the area and just not complete that goal. If they added a do-nothing button, it would see at least some use in some specific circumstances, but the game not having a do-nothing button adds to the intent a bit better. Yeah, I guess the character's just a busybody. You can't just sit around. Can't just sit around and look pretty, you know? Also, the character, you, whatever, the player makes houses and then travels from area to area. Like, are we dragging all these houses behind us, or is it just the fact that we have made a house good enough to offset, like, the decay? Like, it's like, okay, maybe it's just the fact that we've made the house, we're able to rest in it somehow. And it's like, okay, that's enough to, remove half of the decay. But I wish we could just rest twice and remove all of the decay, because that would be really nice. I kind of really want to play a modded version of this game that has no health decay and see how far you can get within one generation. 100 health, period. But you only need food in the events of fighting monsters. If I knew how to mod the game to do that, I'd absolutely just have a save file, like, right off the start of the game, no New Game Plus stuff, starting decay 0.00, and see how it does. In the late game, the health decay doesn't really matter as much, I find, but in the early game, it's a real hassle. Yeah, later on in the game, you start dying due to fighting monsters, as opposed to just running out of health naturally. Remember when I did that one episode of Loop Odyssey, the game that has since renamed itself to Stuck in Time? Yeah, I'd love to do another game like that. I've gotten all of the achievements of Stuck in Time, but I want to play another game like that. Idle games that have, like, a unique mechanic to them, I just love. But it seems like 99.999% of idle games out there are basically one of, like, the same three qualities of game. Like, it's either a clicker game, it's basically, you know, a rip-off of Cookie Clicker in one way, shape, or form, or it's, and I don't exactly have a name for the good baseline of this, but it's like, how to say it? Cookie Clicker Light, I almost want to say? Or it's, yeah, what that one was called, like Magic Adventure or something. You click on a thing and you do an action, and you might think, like, oh, that's like Increlution, except it's like a severely watered down version of Increlution. To the point where it's not actually really enjoyable to play, because it's so just bad. And it's just so bad that's like, why would I want to do this? And when I could play Increlution yet again. That's still somehow in early access, even though it has 11 chapters so far, and I really, really want to see it through to the end. But instead of wanting to play through it how it's supposed to be played, with no New Game Plus perks and not having extra generational runs, once you finished it, because, like, once you've finished, you know, all of the content, you could, if you really wanted to, keep running generations one after another, even getting to the point of automating the entire game. Just let that run for 20 to 40 minutes. You get a few, you know, instinct points and whatever. Make everything a little bit faster, and then just keep doing it. And get more health over and over and over again, so when you get to the next chapter, you could be at, like, what, double effectiveness? That's not how, you know, the developers want the game to be played, but one could absolutely play it like that, and there's really nothing that the developers can do about it. But also the developers included New Game Plus perks, where you can, you know... I don't want to necessarily give away what all of them are, because, hey, part of the... See, why bother playing if you already know what all the perks are? But you could easily... Someone could easily look those up if they really wanted to, so there's no real point in keeping them secret. Just the issue is, I don't think I can remember exactly what all of them were. Alright, Generation and instinct experience requirements. Needing less EXP to level those up. I found those to be very important. Other people might not, but I did. Base decay, which I reset back to tier 0. Because, again, in the late game, base decay doesn't matter as much. Decay growth per minute, which isn't really as effective as I thought it would be. I was really hoping that it would, you know, a level 2 of this would make it maybe take 3.5 minutes to double the decay, and then, you know, you could run for longer, but it says itself, it's better to just get base decay down rather than lower the decay growth until your run reaches like an hour, and I don't think I've ever had any of my runs reach an hour. And since base decay is tier 0, this is tier 0. By tier 0, I mean I haven't leveled it up at all. Max health gain, I upped from tier 0 to tier 2. Food cooldown. I might have upgraded that, so instead of taking 5 seconds, it takes 4.88 seconds to eat. Which means, you know, food is better. Food value, I gave plus 10%. So I guess berries give 5. Because these ones give, like, 5 point something. Combat shield, when doing fighting and stuff, you take slightly less damage. I'm only taking 85.7%. Feels so arbitrary. Taking a bit less damage with combat. Completion damage, that's a new one. Some tasks, even if you do them successfully, they will still deal like a bunch of damage to you. And some of the ones that do a ton of damage, you can eat. You can automatically eat as much food in your inventory as possible to bring your health back up while you're dying, so you don't die. That's not optional, you just do it. So someone might be like, oh yeah, this deals 10 million damage. We have 10 million healing worth of food, so really it does 0. You just have to, you know, regather all the food. The game likes to put it in checks sometimes, just to make sure that people don't have, don't carry stuff from the early game into the late game. They'll either have long stretches where you don't get any new food, so you have to use up all of your previous food, or they have sections that's like, hey, take a whole bunch of damage and eat your food, lowest tier to highest tier. So eat up all of those berries. It's chapter 2, you don't need any of those chapter 1 berries anymore. And then, the New Game Plus perk that I wanted to get at least 1 tier of more than anything, and I've since upgraded to tier 2. Passive jobs. All of the actions that you can do in the game, other than, you know, pausing it, go into one of 3 categories. Jobs are anything that's basically collecting food or collecting resources. Construction is building stuff, and exploration is exploring. Jobs, construction, exploring. With passive jobs at tier 1, all of your jobs, say gathering berries, cutting wood, catching fish, cooking fish, digging stone, will automatically proceed at 1% of their usual speed, even if they are not active. So, gathering berries right now, well, I can... it completes 1.37 times per second if it's active, but if I don't have it active, it'll complete every 36.6 seconds. So every 36.6 seconds of playing, I get a free berry. Simple as that. Just free food. I have 5 jobs, each working at almost 2%, because it's at tier 2. So that's basically an extra 10% speed boost to all of these other jobs that I have. Or, you know, all these other jobs. So even if I, you know, use an explore action, I'm still getting food. It's very slow and almost doesn't make up for itself. But I spent a few New Game Plus perk points, and I believe I have like at least one specific job in the mid-game that I always set to no priority, because the automatic thing just does that job for me at a good enough pace that I don't have to worry about it. I guess doubling the pace now would make that kind of bad, but remains to be seen, I suppose. And yeah, only the active playtime is actually counted in the amount of time that the game takes, even though it's quite likely that most of the playtime the game will be paused. You know, you gotta think about what you're doing, make plans, calculate whether one option is better or the other. But on New Game Plus, like, what? I think I was on like my 3rd or 4th playthrough, right? It still took, I think it's about 6 days worth of active time. 6.5 days worth of active time to play through all current 11 chapters. And let me tell you, if there was an option set to make it so you could just jump into New Game Plus after just any chapter, I think I would set it for Chapter 1. Set my New Game Plus perks to most greatly benefit Chapter 1 specifically. Like, don't necessarily work on the intuition, work more on generational speed and stuff. Don't necessarily need to gain a lot of extra health if I'm not going to have that many generations, etc, etc. Don't need the shielding, because there's like maybe 2 combats. Have food be worth more, and eat it faster. Oh, that's right, the thing that makes food be worth more also makes it so you eat food more slowly. Is something to keep in mind. Overall, it works out to be better. But that is something to work into your calculations. I say your calculations if you're going to play it. I mean, you're totally going to play it, right? I kind of want like a spreadsheet kind of thing. It's like, how many generations does it take to beat, you know, Chapter 1? Set up like an auto clicker to just do Chapter 1 from the start over and over again. Oh, hey, new job. I can start picking some apples. So now that I have, you know, Chapter 10 and 11 fresh in my mind of this kind of stuff that I need for those chapters, I know, flat out, farming is a really important skill. Exploration is also important, but that will just rise up very far by itself naturally. Farming is also strong and good. You need 5... I'm trying to remember if it was 5 million or 5 billion farming for a check. Imagine trying to write a story about, like, the plot and premise of an idle game. To be fair, playing, like, a D&D session or something, where it's like, oh yeah, super cutthroat, your characters could die at any time, but if they die, they'll get resurrected back in a save point. I mean, that kind of... Okay, that feels a bit too video gamey. Now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, yeah, blah, blah, based on idle looping video games, but you know what I'm saying. People want consequences for actions, and apparently, losing some progress isn't a proper consequence. I do think it would be interesting for... I want to say, like, a one-shot. It would probably take... Like a one-shot, but like one of those, like, 12-hour one-shots. Where you just really dedicate, like, literally an entire day to it, and you just have the whole party, like... You know, y'all in the city. It's like, all you know is you need to, like, get this MacGuffin. It's like, that's all you know. You need to get this MacGuffin and bring it to the place. And this, what, Majora's Mask level of, like, these are what the NPCs are going to be doing at all of their times, unless the party acts against them. Time for the... It's like, if the party somehow does nothing, then this is, like, what would happen to the town. Oh no. Sometimes you can just tell that, like, your run is just going to die, and there's nothing you can really do about it. Like, especially early on like this, when the decay becomes so big that there's nothing else to be done about it. But who knows, maybe in the next generation I can do a bit more. I think each New Game Plus reduces the amount you have to do with stuff. Whatever. Catch and cook more fish. I think it's useful mid-game. We'll see in stuff like Increlution. It's nice to have on in the background. Yes, there is a pony-based idle game that I sometimes play, but I got super into it for like a month? No, like 2 weeks? Somewhere from 2 weeks to a month, I got like super into it for a while. I think maybe about a month. And then I got derpy, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then I just like dropped it. Like, I got derpy, and I was all like, yeah, this is all I need. Wasn't even like authentic derpy. It was like a smart derpy, like a not even cross-eyed derpy, but still derpy, so it's like, what else? I haven't been paying attention. Have we even gotten another pharmacy level yet? Oh yeah, we're at 88. I think we started at 85. But yeah, Inclusion is not just a game that you can like leave on all night and just have it doing everything for you. That does not work. You know what? Yeah, increase farming more. Catch fish as a low, cook fish as a none, campfire as a high. Regeneration. It's like, even once you have it like set up and going, maybe you can leave it for like 10 to 20 minutes, but then you have to go back and start doing things. And at the end of the generation, anyway, there's a confirmation to like start the new generation. Oh yeah, I'm at 116 health now. Check that out. But hey, just what, 295 generations away from beating the game again. Of course, I am constantly in the potential struggle. Wait. My earbuds are running out. I am in the constant worry of, hey, since I didn't back up my save, at the end of the game, you know, just before this New Game Plus run, there is a very real possibility that new content will be released, and I'm not at the end of the game, so I can't start playing it right away. Like, I have already had it be in the past, where I basically, you know, got bored of the content that existed in the game, and decided to just stop playing for a few months. And then, of course, new content got added. I was all like, oh, heck yeah, I want to... I think it was a New Game Plus perk that got added in, and I was all like, heck yeah, I want to do that. But I couldn't do it because I couldn't just, you know... It's like halfway through the game. I didn't want to just reset all of that for one perk, and that I didn't even have spare perk points for. So I played for like a week or two to continue advancing. And I got, like, close to the end, kind of hit a roadblock, stopped again, picked it back up, you know, a few days ago. Spent those few days actually getting over that roadblock to get to where I am now. Well then. Sure, let's buy something. If I buy something, I mostly mean sell stuff. I still find it kind of ridiculous that doing this actually nets money. Farming a skill just... A Rune Factory style idle game. Okay, okay. I think I've played, like, farming style idle games. I can see how... I can see how this could work, absolutely. Okay, okay. I'm already having thoughts like, oh, what would this look like? And I think I kind of understand. Okay, okay. So you start off and you have basically, like, a barren field. There's an action that you can take that uses, you know, X amount of time. Let's just say a base of time to, like, start clearing the field. Every time that you do it, however, it clears off, I don't know, 1% of the field or something. And then the next time you have to do it, it costs a bit more, like, time. So the first one might take, like, 2 seconds, and then maybe it adds, what, a cumulative 10% each time? So 2.1 seconds, and then 2.2... No, 2 seconds, then 2.2, then 2.42, 2.66... You know, what? Because the first little bit of clearing just takes a little bit of... In these farming games, just takes a little bit of time. Overall, fairly simple. And then once you have some amount of space clear, you can... I don't know, there's a prepare for farming thing. Doesn't take as much time and doesn't increase in difficulty. Maybe you can get, like, the different tools to help with, like, the different actions. Maybe you need to get, like, the axe and the hammer up in order to have cleared certain percentages of the farm. Maybe once it gets, like, 50% clear, it's like, oh, now you need, like, certain level of, you know, one of these tools. And Yeah, once you've, prepped the field for crops, you can, plant them, water them and stuff. I don't know. Maybe not so much an Increlution style game, but I'm sure that there could be a Rune Factory style idle game that takes, like, the farming aspects of it and also combines it with just going out and fighting monsters. a farming a farming game that has a like a tower defense system built in. That could be pretty funny to play. Wait a second. No, it's Thursday. We good. We good. It just doesn't open for another in-game hour. If you can't hear the game music, then this would be very weird for you. Gosh, I really wanted to talk about the D&D session that I had, but Azura is apparently still not home yet. I couldn't just wait all night to record this episode. The session was really fun, too. I went in with my Tiefling Bard just to find out someone else decided to also play a Tiefling Bard, but we're, like, very different kinds of bards, I guess. So it actually worked out. They're more combat-focused bard, I'm a more music-focused bard. The DM absolutely loved my idea of playing a skateboarder and incorporated that into the game. 5th edition doesn't even have balance as a skill, but it has acrobatics. Starting in 4th edition, they tried to simplify the skills, and I guess they kept that aspect for 5th edition, and I think that's fair. Why do you need 5 different skills for different kinds of acrobatics when you could just use acrobatics? Like, yeah, I'm used to the 3rd edition, 3.5 edition, more 3.5 than 3rd edition, but I do have some familiar with some special 3rd edition skills that actually got cut out for 3.5 edition. My D&D books are 3rd edition, not 3.5 edition, so I have some weird skills in there that actually got removed. I feel like I want to say Forgery. I think Forgery was 3rd edition and not 3.5. That's its own topic of conversation and not everything. And this episode is over, which is why I'm just standing right here ready to go. Anyway, hopefully I remember enough of this session to talk about it next time.